Yo, what's good? It's Mistora. Hey, look, before we get started, let me just say, me personally, I think Hogwarts Legacy is a great game, right? This is not going to be a video of me talking smack about the game and talking down on it or what have you. If that's the kind of video you're looking for, it's the wrong video for you and the wrong channel for you, right? As like I said, I think this is a pretty great game. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there like to say they think the game is mid. I disagree. If I had to give this game a score, it would get an 8 out of 10 for me personally, right? For just a few reasons, right? But some of them being, right, with just how much love went into creating Hogwarts and the surrounding areas with such great detail and obvious respect for the source material. Another reason being how the side quest stories in particular, the ones surrounding the other students, they're really enjoyable, right? Some of those side quests were really enjoyable. I loved getting to know some of those students. And lastly, I'll say the combat is really fun overall. It does have its issues, but it is really fun overall. Those are just some of the reasons that I personally would have a pretty hard time giving this game anything lower than an 8 out of 10. But with that out the way, what this video actually is about is addressing what, in my opinion, or at least having a conversation about, at least what, in my opinion, is Hogwarts Legacy's biggest problem. And this problem permeates in several areas, and it's the same exact thing, but in different areas, right? So let's go ahead and get into it, right? The problem that this game has, right, and what is holding it back from being absolutely amazing is this one reason. Almost all the systems in this game, while they're great, right, they're not being pushed far enough. What do I mean by that? Let's say this, right? Combat, like I said, is dope. It's dope. But the only thing that putting the game on a higher difficulty does is you take more damage and enemies take more damage to go down. They become more bullet spongy. The enemies have more health, right? There's no authentic challenge there. It would have been amazing for enemies to have some additional moves added in if you put the game on a harder difficulty. But I played it on hard. My wife sitting next to me, you know, when we were playing the game side by side, she played it on normal, and all I could see as far as difficulty changes is that I died quicker and enemies took longer to kill. That's it. That's the only difference I noticed outside of in certain missions. Like there's a boss fight that you have to take out like a few waves of enemies before the actual boss shows up. On harder difficulty, you had to take out more enemies before the actual boss would show up on hard, versus on normal, it was only a few waves of enemies. That's it. No real authentic difficulty is present by adjusting the difficulty slider, right? This game, for all intents and purposes, could have just had one difficulty mode. Just like how some FromSoft games, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, whatever, it could have just had one difficulty mode if that was going to be the case. There's no real reason for turning up the difficulty except things take longer. Then why? Like I said, combat is dope. It is fun, but the systems weren't pushed far enough. Allowing enemies on higher difficulty to have varied moves, varied tactics, maybe the way that they fight you as a player is different depending on what difficulty the game is on, would allow the expression that the combat system allows you with creating your own spell groups, would truly allow the game's combat system to shine. But unfortunately it doesn't. What ends up happening is, again, while the combat is good, once you get your own like one or two groups of spells that let you kind of mow through everything, and once you, I would guess, say, figure the combat out, that's really it. At that point, it's just up to your execution, and you can kind of breeze through almost anything, no matter what kind of enemy it is, right? And again, not just in combat, this kind of thing where all the game systems are not being pushed far enough, it permeates through everything. Flying is great, for example, but without Quidditch or actual broom races, not just time trials, but without Quidditch or broom races itself, it feels wasted. The only purpose flying serves is just as a mode of transportation, which in other games would be fine, right? Other games have mounts and, you know, stuff like that. But in the Harry Potter universe, flying is so essential to the wizarding world experience. So flying just being a mode of transportation doesn't really cut it in a game like this. Again, flying is enjoyable. The time trials are fun, but once you max those out, or once you are satisfied with the times that you get, that's it. Flying is relegated to just a mode of transportation, where in the wizarding world and any Harry Potter type of game, it really should be so much more. To continue on, all of the mini games, right? Like the cross wand duels or Summoner's Court. Again, they're really damn fun, but once you beat them, that's it. Once you beat all of the AI or going up against computer or NPCs in these little mini games, once you go up against all the NPCs that this game has to throw at you, that's it. You cannot play these mini games again on that character. Again, this system, this great thing that the devs of this game made, was not pushed far enough. All of the mini games, every single one of them, should be endless. Either in that you can go up against increasingly difficult, like randomly generated, procedurally generated AI NPCs with any varying amount of obstacles, like a Summoner's Court, they could randomize the obstacles that are on the playing field, or much easier. I know the game isn't online, and the game itself does not need online, in my opinion. In my opinion, this game is fine as a single player experience. I don't think every single game out there needs to be co-op or online co-op. You don't need your friends running around the world with you, helping you beat, do quests or activities or whatever. But at least the mini games would benefit greatly from being able to be played online, right? Being able to go against your friends or fight alongside your friends for like endless crossed wand duels, or being able to go up against whoever you want for Summoner's Court, or even for the Dark Arts arenas, competing for who can get the best time to clear out waves of enemies. All that stuff would have taken what is already established as a great system in the game. Again, these mini games, already something that they've successfully crafted and implemented to the game as great, as phenomenal. They're not being pushed far enough, and allowing those games to be played endlessly online would just push them that little bit further, right? Next up, the common rooms. They are great to experience, but only once, really, as there really isn't much doing them, right? We should be able to maybe play Gobstones, or whatever that game is called. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Gobstones, right? Or something with our peers in there. Wizard Chest. You should be able to sit down, like maybe, I guess, I know there's like Gwent in The Witcher, right? There's Gwent, where you can go up against several NPCs. Why isn't there something like that here, where you could just play Wizard Chess and go up against several different NPCs of varying difficulty? Give us some more stuff to do in the common room, right? And I can go on and on. I'm not gonna ramble, right? It's just, I say all this to illustrate a point. The game has the exact same problem, but in a few different separate areas when it comes to it, right? Like I said, the combat, broom flying, mini games, common rooms, whatever, right? And a lot of the other systems would be uplifted if some of those things were improved, right? They actually did a pretty good job with the crafting system, I'll say, like with the with the crafting of your armor and swapping out perks and stuff like that. All that stuff is great. But to be honest, even on hard, you can kind of just equip whatever best armor you find lying around. There's no real need to interact with all that, min-maxing of making your armor better through crafting and upgrading it yourself. But if those, like I said, if there was actual crossed wand duels that were endless, or even if there were certain armor perks that you could add to make you just a little bit better at broom racing, because let's say broom racing was actually in the game against NPCs or against friends, then yeah, there would be a reason to engage with some of these elements of the game that really aren't really all that useful. Like I said, even on the hardest difficulty, you can get through the game without really paying that much attention to what kind of perks you have on your armor. It isn't really all that important. You absolutely can. It'll make combat easier for you, but you can still get through the game no problem without it. And that's a sentiment that's been repeated by multiple reviewers and outlets, right? The game is very fun, right? Hogwarts Legacy is very fun. Like I said, it's very memorable, especially some of those NPC, those side quests for some of the classmates that you go to school with, like Sebastian, Poppy Sweeting, and stuff like that. Specifically Poppy, I loved her side quest. It was awesome. Every time she hit me up, I was like, I'm dropping whatever I'm doing, I'm going to help Poppy out, right? The game is good, it's memorable, and it's definitely one of the better single player games we've gotten in recent years. It just, like I said, wasn't pushed hard enough in a lot of these areas. I'm hoping with how successful this game was, and I'm hearing murmurings, right? It may have even been confirmed that Hogwarts Legacy 2 is definitely happening. And I think it's happening at a magical school in America or what have you, right? That these aspects are fleshed out. Hell, it doesn't even need to wait till Hogwarts Legacy 2, right? This is stuff that can be fixed with either DLC or updates. Throw Quidditch in there as a DLC update. Maybe an update happens where there's endless cross-wand dueling, and they make Summoner's Court able to play with your friends or what have you. That would add so much longevity to this game, even though it's already sold incredibly well, right? For the people that do pick it up later down the line, or even those that want to do a second playthrough, if those kinds of things are added, it's going to add so much longevity. Anyways, y'all, my name has been Stora, and yeah, I just wanted to have this dialogue, have this conversation around what I think is this game's biggest issue, right? Especially because I'm hopeful of this. If enough people, I know my videos aren't likely to necessarily reach the devs, but if enough people are talking about these things specifically, then hopefully, I know the devs have no plans for DLC, but with how well the game sold, maybe this is something they could consider eventually at some point, or at least these kinds of changes are made for sequels to this game, right? Like I said, y'all, my name is Minstora. If you liked the video, please feel free to leave a like, comment, let me know what you think about this topic in particular. Do you think that these systems are fine as they are, or do you think, just like me, that they could be pushed a little bit further? What are your hopes for Hogwarts Legacy 2 if that game does eventually make its way to us? And let me know what you think about the game overall in the comments below. Again, sorry for kind of the chaotic nature of this kind of ranty video. Didn't really have a script for this one, kind of just had a general idea, topic for a video, and went with it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be easy, man. Peace.